Have you ever done everything right, or at least everything you thought was right, only to watch your kidney numbers quietly slip in the wrong direction anyway? Maybe you've been eating the fruits everyone calls healthy, staying hydrated, trying to take care of yourself, and yet month after month, something inside you feels like it's breaking down. If that sounds familiar, I need you to stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you may be the most important health message you hear this year. This is Dr. Richard Hale, and I want to speak to you not as a doctor reading lab results, but as someone who has seen far too many Americans walk straight into kidney failure while believing they were doing everything right. The danger isn't dramatic. It doesn't knock on the door. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It hides inside the foods you trust, inside the habits you repeat every day, inside those slightly elevated numbers your doctor mentions that seem harmless until the day they aren't. By the time creatinine rises, even a little nearly half of your kidney function may already be gone, and most people never feel a single warning sign. But here's the part almost no one has ever explained to you clearly. The damage you're experiencing is not inevitable, it's not irreversible, and it's not too late. In fact, there are 4 specific fruits, simple, familiar, easy to find, that can help lower inflammation, reduce creatinine, protect damaged nephrons, and in many cases, support real kidney recovery when used the right way. And before we go any further, I want you to hear this one truth that I tell every patient who sits across from me. Once you understand what truly harms your kidneys and what actually heals them, everything about your health story can begin to change. Most people believe that if a fruit is good for the heart, good for the immune system, or labeled as a superfood, then it must be good for the kidneys too. But that's exactly where the silent danger begins. In my clinic, I've seen countless patients who proudly told me they were eating clean bananas for potassium oranges, for vitamin C melon for hydration, only to discover their creatinine was creeping higher each month. And what struck me most was that they weren't careless. They were trying. They were doing what they thought every responsible adult in America should do. But the truth is, a weakened kidney doesn't behave like a healthy one. The same nutrients that help most people thrive can overwhelm someone whose filtration system is already struggling. Potassium that strengthens a normal heart can become electrically dangerous. Natural sugars that seem harmless can fuel inflammation. And phosphorus hidden inside seemingly innocent fruits can harden blood vessels and accelerate kidney decline without making a sound. I once had a patient, Linda, who started every morning with 2 bananas and a tall glass of orange juice because she wanted to start the day right. She was shocked when I showed her how quickly her potassium levels had spiked and how her creatinine rose quietly behind it. She didn't feel sick. She wasn't in pain. Yet her kidneys were absorbing the full impact of choices she genuinely believed were healthy. Studies now confirm that just one high-potassium fruit can raise the risk of dangerous arrhythmias by nearly 40% in people with impaired kidney function, a number far more alarming once you realize there are no early symptoms. And this is where most people unknowingly fall into the trap. They trust the label healthy, not realizing their kidneys are fighting a battle they can't feel. But only understanding this danger still isn't enough, because there's another truth almost no one talks about. And this is exactly why so many people fall deeper into kidney trouble without realizing it. Because unlike your heart, which can warn you with chest tightness, or your stomach, which can shout through cramps, your kidneys stay completely quiet while they struggle. They don't burn, they don't ache, they don't throb. They simply adapt, compensate, and keep working until the moment they can't, often when nearly half of their function is already gone. That silence is what makes kidney decline so dangerous in America today. I remember speaking with a patient named Melissa, a 67-year-old grandmother who told me, "Doctor, I don't feel anything. I can't be that sick." But her lab results painted a different picture. Creatinine rising, GFR falling, potassium edging toward the danger zone. And yet she felt normal enough to go grocery shopping, cook dinner, take care of her grandchildren. That gap between how the kidneys feel and how they function is exactly why kidney disease is called the quiet thief. It steals health not through sudden symptoms, but through slow, invisible erosion. Scientific studies now confirm that up to 90% of kidney function can be lost before a person experiences any noticeable discomfort. That means most people have absolutely no internal alarm system telling them something is wrong. By the time swelling, fatigue, or shortness of breath appear, the kidneys have already reached a critical point, and reversing the damage becomes dramatically harder. So when someone continues eating fruits that strain, weaken kidneys, they don't feel the consequences. They only see them months later in their blood work when the damage has already accumulated. That's why understanding this silent decline is so important. But only knowing this still isn't enough, because the real turning point begins when you discover which fruits can actually protect your kidneys instead of harming them. If there's one fruit that quietly rises above the noise, one that protects weakened kidneys without overwhelming them, it's the humble apple. Most people walk past apples in the grocery store without a second thought, but for someone with declining kidney function, an apple is far more than a snack. It's a safety shield. It's predictable. It's gentle. And most importantly, it's one of the few fruits that supports kidney healing rather than adding stress. I'll never forget Robert, a 58-year-old patient who came into my office exhausted, frustrated, and scared. His creatinine was rising month after month. His phosphorus was jumping higher than it should. And he told me something I hear far too often. "Doctor, I feel like every bite I take is wrong." After reviewing his routine, I knew he needed something simple, something his kidneys wouldn't have to fight against. So I told him, "Start with one apple a day. Keep the peel on." He laughed. "That's it." "Yes," I said, "but give it time." 3 months later, he wasn't laughing anymore. He was smiling because his phosphorus levels had dropped. His inflammation markers had fallen by nearly 1/3. And for the first time in years, he felt like his body wasn't fighting him anymore. And this wasn't luck. It was chemistry. Apples are naturally low in potassium, making them safe for weakened kidneys. But the real magic lies in pectin, the soluble fiber concentrated in the peel. Pectin acts like a sponge, binding toxins and excess phosphorus in the gut before they ever reach the kidneys. Scientific studies published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases show that individuals who consume 25-30 grams of fruit fiber per day, especially from apples, improve phosphorus control by up to 23%. Another long-term study of over 12,000 adults found that eating just one apple a day reduces the risk of developing chronic kidney disease by nearly 19%. And when you combine that with antioxidants like quercetin and chlorogenic acid, both of which target inflammatory pathways inside the nephrons, you have a fruit that works like a daily kidney guardian. But apples are only the beginning, because there is a smaller, deeper-colored fruit that delivers an even stronger protective punch. But only knowing this still isn't enough, because there's another fruit with power most people completely overlook. If apples are the steady, reliable guardian of your kidneys, then blueberries are the quiet warriors, small, deep-colored, and far more powerful than most people ever realize. Their soft skin and gentle sweetness make them seem fragile, but inside each berry is a concentrated dose of protection that goes straight to the root of kidney inflammation. And for someone whose kidneys are already under stress, that difference is everything. I remember Susan, a retired school teacher in her early 70s, who came to me feeling defeated. She had cut salt, drank more water, avoided processed foods she truly tried, but her creatinine barely budged. When I asked about her fruit intake, she hesitated. "I stopped eating most fruits," she admitted, "because I'm terrified of hurting my kidneys." That kind of fear is more common than you think. So I told her something that surprised her. Bring back blueberries half a cup 3 to 4 times a week. She looked at me like the idea was too simple to matter. But after 6 months, her lab results told a different story. Her inflammation markers dropped, her GFR stabilized, and she told me she finally felt like her body wasn't fighting itself anymore. That wasn't a coincidence. It was the power of anthocyanins, the natural pigments responsible for blueberries' rich blue color. Studies published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry show that anthocyanins can reduce kidney-damaging cytokines by up to 47% in just a few weeks. Even more impressive, these compounds can cross the blood-kidney barrier, targeting inflammation right inside the nephrons, the tiny filters responsible for clearing waste. And for patients with diabetes or prediabetes, blueberries support healthier blood sugar levels and improve insulin sensitivity, easing strain on the delicate vessels surrounding the kidneys. Fresh or frozen doesn't matter. Blueberries hold on to nearly all their protective strength either way. But here's where things get even more interesting. Blueberries don't just protect your kidneys, They prepare them for the next level of healing. But only knowing this still isn't enough because there's a bold red fruit that activates the kidney's natural repair system in a way few people ever hear about. If blueberries help calm the inflammation burning inside weakened kidneys, then red grapes take the healing one step further. These glossy, ruby-colored fruits carry something extraordinary beneath their delicate skin, a compound called resveratrol, powerful enough to activate the kidney's own repair system. And once you understand how this works, you'll never look at a simple handful of grapes the same way again. I once worked with Anthony, a 71-year-old grandfather, who felt like his body was slipping away from him. His creatinine rose month after month, and he told me, "Doctor, I feel like I'm running out of options." He had cut down salt, drank more water, even gave up most fruits out of fear. When I suggested adding red grapes back into his weekly routine, he raised an eyebrow. Grapes, really, yes, really. But not just any grapes. The deep red and purple ones, because their skins contain the highest levels of resveratrol. And that matters more than most people realize. Resveratrol activates a key gene called SIRT1, often nicknamed the longevity switch. When this gene turns on, kidney cells begin repairing DNA damage, reducing inflammation, and restoring some of the natural filtration ability they had lost over time. Studies in Kidney International show that resveratrol-rich foods can improve kidney function by up to 22% within 6 months, a number that's especially meaningful for older adults who feel like they're fighting an uphill battle. And here's another mistake many people make peeling grapes. Almost all the resveratrol lives in the skin. Remove it, and you remove the very compound your kidneys need most. Just 15 to 20 grapes 2 or 3 times a week became Anthony's rhythm. And slowly his labs began shifting. His inflammation markers fell. His energy returned. For the first time in years, he wasn't spiraling, he was stabilizing. But the story doesn't end here. Because while red grapes help repair kidney cells from the inside, there's another fruit with the power to dismantle inflammation before it ever reaches your filtration system. But only knowing this still isn't enough because there's a tropical fruit whose healing enzyme is far more potent than people expect. If red grapes help switch on the kidney's internal repair system, then pineapple works like a natural fire extinguisher, dousing the deep inflammation that silently attacks weakened kidneys day after day. And the reason lies in a single powerful enzyme hidden inside its golden flesh bromelain. Most people think of pineapple as a sweet tropical treat, but for someone with rising creatinine, it can be a gentle kidney-safe intervention that delivers real results. I think about Carlos, a 63-year-old who walked into my office carrying more than just lab numbers. He carried worry in his eyes. His legs were swollen, his energy drained, and he felt like his body was slipping further out of his control. When he asked me, "Is there anything natural I can do?" I recommended something surprisingly simple: half a cup of fresh pineapple 2 or 3 times a week. "Fresh," he repeated. "Exactly," I said, "because canned pineapple loses the very enzyme your kidneys need." Within a few weeks, the shift was undeniable. The swelling in his legs began to ease, his fatigue lessened, and his lab results, creatinine included, finally started moving in the right direction. And this wasn't a miracle. It was the science of bromelain at work. Clinical research shows that bromelain can reduce inflammatory markers linked to kidney damage by up to 42%. Even more importantly, it helps break down the fibrotic tissue that stiffens and scars kidney structures, allowing them to function with less strain. And pineapple brings another advantage: hydration. Its naturally high water content helps flush out toxins without overwhelming the kidneys, a balance that's often difficult for patients with declining kidney function. But here's the part most people never learn. Pineapple only delivers these benefits when it's fresh. Canned versions destroy bromelain and add sugars that weaken kidneys even further. So yes, this golden fruit can be a healing tool, but only when eaten in its natural form. Still, pineapple is just one piece of the bigger puzzle. Healing the kidneys isn't about one food or one habit. It's about what you do consistently. But only knowing this still isn't enough, because the real key to kidney recovery lies in one principle most people completely overlook. All these fruits, apples, blueberries, red grapes, and pineapple, offer powerful support. But the truth that determines whether they actually change your numbers isn't the fruit itself. It's what you do with them consistently. Kidney healing doesn't happen from a single perfect day of eating. It happens through the quiet repetition of small choices stacked day after day until your kidneys finally feel the difference. And this principle is where most people unintentionally sabotage their progress. I remember a patient named Harold who tried everything for 1 week at a time. 1 week he avoided salt. 1 week he exercised. 1 week he ate blueberries every day. But the moment he didn't see fast results, he jumped to something new. His kidneys didn't have time to respond. They were always starting, stopping, restarting. When he finally committed to a simple rhythm: an apple each morning, blueberries 3 times a week, grapes on weekends, pineapple on Wednesdays and Fridays, his numbers began shifting. Not dramatically at first, but steadily. And steady progress is exactly how kidneys heal. Science supports this pattern. Studies show that consistent daily habits lower inflammation by up to 35% and improve filtration efficiency far more than short health sprints. The kidney is a slow organ. It doesn't respond to intensity, it responds to consistency. That's why patients who follow a predictable weekly routine often stabilize creatinine faster than those who try to overhaul everything all at once. So the real secret isn't perfection, it's repetition, it's patience, it's choosing the right fruits and letting them work gradually, quietly, consistently, just like your kidneys work for you every single day. But only knowing this still isn't enough, because the final message, the one that may determine whether your kidneys stabilize or decline, is something I need you to hear before we close. As we come to the end of this message, I want you to remember something deeply important. Your lab results do not define your future, and they certainly don't define your strength. Your kidneys are far more resilient than you may believe, and even if you've faced years of stress medications or setbacks, your body still fights for you every single day. The small steps you take, choosing the right fruit, drinking cleaner, water-reducing strain, these choices matter more than you realize. Healing isn't about perfection, it's about direction. And today, by learning what truly supports your kidneys, you've already taken a meaningful step toward protecting your health. If what you heard today gave you clarity, hope, or even just one helpful idea, make sure you save this video. You'll want to come back to it on the days you need guidance or reassurance. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. I share new kidney health insights every single week, practical science-based tools that help you lower creatinine, reduce inflammation, and keep your kidneys strong for the years ahead. You deserve access to clear, honest medical guidance, and I'm here to give you exactly that. As you move forward, hold this truth close: the smallest choices can shift the course of your health. Your kidneys are still listening, still responding, still capable of change. You are not powerless and you are not alone. Continue learning, continue caring for yourself, and continue believing in your body's remarkable ability to heal. Your next chapter can be stronger than the one behind you, and I'll be right here to help you every step of the way.